Okay. So I have started the recording. It will take a couple of minutes to start. So let's talk about the agenda for the day. And we are going to quickly move. Acha, before I start, what do you guys think about a timing in during early part of the day? 6 to 8. No, early part of the day say I mean before 5. Okay. 3 to 5 internship hai. Okay. I'm asking because what I want to know is because next week I will be at some other place while I'll be taking sessions, and ये वाला timing थोड़ा सा unsuitable होगा. I will try to adjust accordingly. But ये time अगर best, अरे ठीक है ज़ैद, समझ गया, ये time best है. अगर आप लोग बता सकते हो अगर मेरे को 3 to 5 कहीं टाइमिंग अगर आपको सूट करता है या एनी पार्ट ऑफ द डे विच इज सूटेबल फॉर यू, आई कैन एडजस्ट, अदरवाइज वी कैन डू दिस. चलो ठीक है, इसके बारे में हम लोग इस वीक में डिसाइड कर लेते हैं कि क्या होगा नेक्स्ट वीक का टाइमिंग जो कि सूटेबल हो सबके लिए. आई डोंट वांट एनीवन टू फॉल्टर. या आज हम लोग लेट्स स्टार्ट ऑफ विद द सेशन. ऑलराइट, agenda for the day. So today we are going to start with the introduction of JavaScript. We will talk about the data types, which will include a lot of stuff. Data types से पहले हम लोग syntax करेंगे obviously. मैंने number second लिखा है. Syntax क्या होता है and its usage. Then we will see console on the browser, how it works, and we will try to include data types हो गया, syntax हो गया, console हो गया, and then we will see the objects. Objects are very important. Objects and arrays. Okay, cool. So let's start. शुरू करते हैं. ये सारा कोड तो आपके पास है अभी तक. अब इस पे मैं एक जावास्क्रिप्ट ऐड करूंगा and you will start to see how we are growing in terms of content, in terms of knowledge. So अभी तक हमने CSS पे बात कर ली, HTML पे बात कर ली. अब हम लोग जावास्क्रिप्ट पे बात करेंगे. Okay. All right, just give me a second to rename this. Okay, cool. So now that we have this, very first thing that I will do is HTML. Create a regular HTML file and create a template out of it. Now, when we talk about JavaScript, to give you a brief idea of what JavaScript is, everything that we have done till now was very static in nature. Index.html जो हम बना रहे थे या HTML files when we were creating it, it was saying everything that we were entering was very static data. Maybe we wanted some data which might change over time, or something where we can work on based on the user input or something like that. Then CSS came into picture. That is also something very different from HTML, but it helps us to style. So both of them together created a kind of a presentable thing for us. Correct? Now, once we have the presentable part, we also need to put in a dynamic aspect. Okay, so when I say dynamic aspect, all the things that you see in today's world, or any game you play, anything that you watch on your OTT platforms, and then any kind of interaction that you do on the web page comes with your JavaScript. If there was no JavaScript, there wouldn't have been any games, there wouldn't have been any user interaction. You wouldn't have known the internet the way you know right now. So to give life to your internet, to your pages, we have JavaScript. And JavaScript was chosen as a part of your front-end language. And it is a very popular language because it is very lightweight. And how it works is it interprets as you go. A lot of you might have worked on Java. We are going to do everything in JavaScript now. So that is all going to be an example. How many of you have worked on Java before, or any other language? Okay. So in Java, what happens is, okay, Python is a little similar. Okay, cool. CPP and Python, C++. Okay, ठीक है. तो इन सब में क्या होता है? Compilers होते हैं. All these languages have compilers. What it means is it takes up whatever you have written and it will then compile the whole code and then it goes into the runtime phase. Correct? So what it does is it, first of all, if there is 100 line of code, it will compile that 100 lines of code and then it will start the running phase in these languages. With JavaScript, what happens is it interprets line by line, immediately line after line after line. So if I need to introduce JavaScript, the pace that it works with is very fast comparatively to Java. But do not confuse Java and JavaScript. They are two very different language. The name might sound similar, but they are very different. Yeah, they are very different. तो इसमें होता क्या है कि वो लाइन पे कंपाइल करेगा, इंटरप्रेट करेगा, मूव ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट लाइन, कंपाइल करेगा, इंटरप्रेट करेगा, मूव ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट लाइन. And that's why it is pretty fast and it is used as a front end language, because when we are talking in terms of front end, we need a very fast response. We need something to be displayed very quickly. Okay, so to include JavaScript, we use this script tag that is available, and there are different types of script. Where there are different types of script which you can use, and you will see the use of those scripts when we start talking about the frameworks. But JavaScript is the main type of script, and if I just use something like this, and inside this I can start writing some JavaScript code. Okay, so the first thing that I will write is some predefined functionalities from JavaScript. तो आपको दिखाया होगा मैंने console.log का ऐसा example. And what this does is, yes, something like internal CSS, we have put it over here, the script tag. Okay, तो अभी हम लोग क्या करेंगे, यहाँ पे लिखेंगे my console statement. तो ये एक प्रीडिफाइन है, हम लोग console.log बहुत यूज करेंगे because this is very helpful in terms of understanding the page and how JavaScript works. Okay, I did not close the VS Code. I don't know why it got closed. Let me just start the Visual Studio Code. It crashed. Weird. Does it happen with you guys? Does it crash? Yeah, it's it did crash for me. All right, I don't want to open this. Give me a second. It's weird, my system is crashing a lot nowadays. I have a lot of heavy work running on my web system, and that's why it does that. It's kind of irritating. Okay, let me share the screen. Someone is on unmute. Okay, can you guys see the screen again? Yes, I'm going to take M1 chip very soon because that is the need of the hour. But I don't know how feasible M1 is with the VS Code and all the Windows related development environment, but it is very strong for inbuilt application of Apple. I was doing some research on that over the weekend. And what I found is, since it is a very new thing in the market, it is a generation 1. It is generation 1 of that kind of thing from Apple. So anything that is generation 1 will definitely have a lot of issues initially. प्रतीक, मैंने पता है शुरू जब से काम करना स्टार्ट किया तब से मैंने मैक यूज किया या एप्पल यूज किया या लिनक्स बेस्ड सिस्टम यूज किया, तो अब अगर इफ आई ट्राई टू शिफ्ट आई विल हैव टू लर्न अ लॉट ऑफ न्यू स्टफ, क्योंकि एफिशिएंसी वाइज आई एम अ वे बेटर ऑन मैकबुक और लिनक्स सिस्टम. Okay, so what we have done is we have introduced a statement called my console statement. And you see when I open developer tools, it tells me a console tag. So what this acts like, it is like a terminal. Okay, whatever we were doing on terminal, this is a terminal for your web browser. And if you want to take a look at anything and see how it works, this is directly connected to the code that I write. Now, in this scenario, you would definitely need your live servers. So those who were not using live servers till now, I would suggest that you start using live server, because in JavaScript, there will be a lot of code change and dynamic changes is going to be a part of your code changes very quickly. So as I clear it, and if I refresh this page, again, that part will come, my console statement. So what browser does is, or how JavaScript works is, our code that we have written, okay, that comes and gets loaded on the browser. Okay, and that's why browser interprets everything depending on the extension. So browser will understand .html file has nothing in the body as such, and it has a script that is injected, which is the live server script. ये जो script है, ये आपका live server जो चलाया या कैसे चलता है उसका script है. So we are not concerned with this. This is auto generated by your VS Code or whatever editor you're using. This one right over here, when it starts loading again in the similar manner, it sees there is a script, and when it says script, it automatically understands the default one is JavaScript. So this statement says that go and log this particular thing in my console. So that's why it says that I am going to log it in my console. Okay, so one second, let's mute him. Yeah, so now we have this statement over here. So it's kind of my system, or जो live server हम लोग use कर रहे थे, that is nothing but kind of a server that we are acting on. और हम उस website पे visit करते हैं from our web browser. So it's like a website that I am visiting. This is a www.javascript.com, let's say. उसका और भी protocols होता है कि क्यों नाम वैसा होता है, and all that stuff is there. But it's like a server. And what is that server? Nothing but our VS Code, which has been generated. So इसी को, if you think in a real world example, is my voice cracking, guys? Unstable? No? Okay. All right. So I'll continue. So इसी को, if I explain it in a real world example scenario, आप कोई भी website visit करते हो, let's say you're going to Facebook, or you're going to Netflix or anywhere, you are typing in that address and it goes and hits a server where the code of that particular site is residing, and it sends the response. Similarly, ये चीज same है on a very small scale, on a local scale. वेबसाइट से मैंने ये सर्वर पे हिट किया, ये सर्वर बन गया, और इसमें जो जो कोड है वो लोड हो जाता है मेरे ब्राउजर में. मेक सेंस? अंडरस्टैंडेबल हाउ लाइव सर्वर इज वर्किंग फॉर अस. तो अब मैं जो भी कोड पे चेंज करूंगा, that will be visible over here. So iska better way है to just split both the screens and show you guys together, both the things together. Okay, can you see this? Can you see both the screens together? Yes. Okay, so now if I type anything in the body, let's say I'm typing a header section, and inside this I have a h1 tag saying JavaScript is awesome. If I save this, you see it uploads. That means there is some change in my server and it has been reflected over here. तो इसी टाइप से मेरा JavaScript is going to help me work with the dynamic nature of the website. When I say dynamic, I mean changes as and when it comes. Like you cannot have static stuff going around. Now, before I go into that dynamic nature, we need to understand how JavaScript works. So you understand that I include the script tag and start writing my JavaScript code. But there is a problem with this. Can anyone tell me some problems with this? Like logically अगर आप सोचो तो आपको क्या लग रहा है कि क्या प्रॉब्लम आ सकती है इसमें? What do you think? Typing in one document, ठीक है. Typing in one document is one problem that we can face. पेज लोड होने से पहले कोड एग्जीक्यूट होगा. Yes, that is there for the script tag, but we can handle it with the script tag in a different way. उसको हम लोग नीचे पुश कर देंगे. So the problem is, JavaScript is going to have a lot of code, and if you keep on adding the script tag over here, it is kind of going to create a lot of mess. And the second thing that is very important, which Anurag said, I think, who said that? Tejas or Anurag? I think Tejas said that. हाँ, पेज लोड होने से पहले कोड एग्जीक्यूट हो जाएगा. सो व्हाट विल हैपन इज, लेट्स से यहाँ पे कोई इमेज टैग है जिसकी डिपेंडेंसी हमारे जावास्क्रिप्ट कोड में. So what will happen is this line of code will get executed earlier than the page gets loaded, because this is the first thing that gets loaded, right? So even if you're using script tag, we suggest that you use it at the bottom of the body, like just before the body ends. Sorry. So if you use it over here, it is not going to make much of a difference for you, as you can see. But होगा क्या कि पहले मेरा कोड लोड होगा. अगर ये सेम चीज मैं यहाँ पे करता, और इफ आई डू दिस ओवर हियर, बहुत माइन्यूट डिफरेंस दिखेगा आपको, बहुत माइन्यूट डिफरेंस दिखेगा. आई थिंक ह्यूमन आईज को पता भी नहीं चलेगा. बट जब मैं ये नीचे लोड करूंगा तो ये बाद में आएगा. जब मैं ये ऊपर लोड करूंगा तो पहले ये माई कंसोल स्टेटमेंट आएगा, फिर H1 लोड होगा. बट इट इज सो फास्ट दैट इट डजंट वर्क, इट्स नॉट visible to our human eyes. So this is a good way of including script at the bottom of your HTML document. And the other thing is that you might have to write a lot of code. So what is the solution to this is, we start using just the same way that we have done for CSS. एक अलग से फाइल बना देते हैं, ठीक है? अलग से फाइल बना देते हैं, and I will call this example.js. So any JavaScript file is going to have the extension of example.js. Now here, if I write console.log and I'll say my console statement, what will happen is, will it work? No. Why? Because my HTML tag gets loaded, but it does not know from where to read rest of them. It does not have any kind of a link. Yeah, correct. So we need to link it, and to link it, we use the script tag and we give the source. Yeah, so this source will say कि कहाँ से तुमको read करना है ये script. As the name suggests, it is a script and it is going to read line by line. So I go inside example.js and just leave it like this. Now what will happen is, you see my console statement is getting loaded. And do you see this warning that I had is coming a little later? पहले ये my console statement ऊपर आ रहा था, अब नीचे हो गया, क्योंकि it is working in top to bottom fashion. तो यहाँ पे आता है, फिर it goes inside example.js and it reads this. So this is a much better way, and we can link as many JS files as we want. Okay, so now let's go inside this and start working with the data types. So when we are trying to learn any new language, any language that you learn will have all the basic functionalities that is there. Most of the times all the language are similar from the low level perspective. When I say low level, it's like जब coding शुरू हुई थी तो it was all zeros and ones. So to write a line of code, let's say h लिखने के लिए उनको 1000 zeros and ones लिखने पड़ते थे, ठीक है? But it has been evolving, and JavaScript is a biggest example of evolution because it has evolved to such a level that it interprets this in a very quick manner. And if I type h, it will interpret it as h, but it needs to mean something to JavaScript. ऐसा नहीं है कि h लिख दिया तो वो समझ गया. So there is a way of writing. Let's say if you're speaking Telugu, or if you're speaking Hindi, English, any kind of language, Tamil, Kannada, Punjabi, whatever you are speaking, there is a dialect to it. There is a way of speaking, right? There is a grammar behind it. Similarly, JavaScript or any kind of language, मराठी राजस्थानी ठीक है, हाँ सबको सब पूरे इंडिया में अलग, हर 100 किलोमीटर पे लैंग्वेज चेंज हो रही है, तो सबका अपना अपना तरीका है बोलने का. एंड व्हेन वी से दैट, what I mean is that there is a way of doing it, and it is very similar for our JavaScript as well. Why? Or any kind of language, not just JavaScript, because our system needs to understand there has been a set defined of rules for this language, and we need to understand that. So to understand that, we have this data types, which is going to help. Now, before I dive into the data types, we are going to understand how to declare something. It's like I'm trying to define something. So सबसे पहले syntax देखते हैं, and syntax and declaration. So when I say syntax and declaration, there are few ways of telling that, okay, what we are going to do right now is we are going to define a variable. When I say variable, it means this is something that I'm going to refer to something. तो अगर मैं बोल रहा हूँ चलो console.log का statement हमने use किया है, and I say 10, ठीक है? So it understands that I am trying to log 10 over here, as you can see on your screen. But I might need this 10 a lot of times on my code. ये number मेरे को बहुत बार चाहिए होगा. So what I do is I store it in a name. It's like a name, calling 10 as a name. So I'll call it score. Let's say कि ये कोई score है और इसकी value हमने दे दी 10. So what we use is a keyword over here which is defined in JavaScript. ये JavaScript का part है. var से मतलब हो गया variable. And what I'm saying is I'm storing a variable named score with the value of 10. So now if I use score anytime, it will print me value of 10. ठीक है? There are multiple other ways of defining this. I can use same thing and I will say, let's say result, let result, and let result be 50, let's say. ठीक है? और अब मैं result को भी use करूंगा and it will behave in the same manner. So if I do this, it is 50. So what is the difference between the two? दोनों तो same way में behave कर रहे हैं. तो जैसे आपका HTML5 प्रोग्रेस हुआ है विद लॉट ऑफ वर्जन्स, जावास्क्रिप्ट भी प्रोग्रेस हो रहा है धीरे धीरे एज वी आर गोइंग. या सो दिस इज अ पार्ट ऑफ थिंग कॉल्ड ES6, which is ECMAScript 2015. So ECMAScript is like a standard way of defining. It is a body which defines your standard for writing JavaScript. कि कैसे लिखते हैं. Yeah, it is not the latest, I would say, but ES7 भी आ गया है, 2020 भी आ गया है. But this is the one that is mostly used nowadays. बहुत सारे लोग ने migrate कर लिया in ES6 and things are getting enhanced as and when we are going. ठीक है? तो ES6 is something that is asked a lot in interviews as well. कि what is the ES6 features of JavaScript? This was before the ES6 was introduced, and it was called ES5. So if you are interested, just take a look at ECMAScript. This is a standard body. जैसे web W3 schools है, उसी टाइप से JavaScript के लिए ये ECMAScript या ES जो है, that is the standard body which defines कि कैसे क्या लिखना है, क्यों लिखना है, उसमें क्या क्या changes आ रहे हैं. All this definition are given by this. So both of them work in a very similar manner, but there are subtle differences which has made the coding life much more easier to handle, and we will get to know. But during the course, we are going to use let because this is the very latest thing, and we might obsolete use var sometimes maybe, but I don't think I will be using var much. I will be using let. Okay, so remember, and then there is this constant. Let's say I'm using a constant value of pi 3.14, and this is also ES6 ES6 feature. ठीक है, और यहाँ पे लिखते हैं pi. तो ये तीन चीज प्रिंट हो जाएगी. वेल एंड गुड, वेरी इजी टू अंडरस्टैंड. बट व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस? ये दोनों चीज ES6 में रिलीज हुई, दिस वाज प्रीवियसली. So the one difference that I will talk about is the value changing. So let's say score को मैंने update कर दिया. What I'm saying is I'm changing the name and I'm saying score is 15 now. Okay. So what do you see? It is saying 15 first, then result is 50. I will change result as well and I'll make it 55. So result has been changed. Work, school, पाई को भी चेंज करते हैं. चलो, पाई का वैल्यू चेंज नहीं कर सकते हैं तो एक बार करके देखते हैं. लेट्स से 3 डॉट कुछ हमने नया नंबर लिख दिया 26. Let's do this, and if I save this, you see there is an error that is coming up. Okay, no, it is not case sensitive. I will talk about why I have used it in capital letters. Now think it in a very logical way, in a programmer's way. अगर ये चीज मैंने पाई को इनिशियली डिफाइन किया है and I have given it a value using var, this will work. You see 3.26 चेंज हो गया. बट const के तरीके से अगर देखें, ये बोल रहा है कि असाइनमेंट टू कांस्टेंट वेरिएबल इज नॉट अलाउड. व्हाट दिस मींस इज, आप देखो कि ह्यूमन एरर्स को कैसे नेगेट कर दिया यहाँ पे. right? Constant never changes. Const means constant. Now think in terms of a programmer. If it was just var, and let's say someone who is reading your code or making changes to your code goes ahead and changes the value of pi, which is error, which is a kind of an error in terms of calculations, and everything will change, right? I don't want that. So maybe every time I am trying to use the value of pi, I had to go ahead and check that if my pi value is 3.4, then only use it. But here, with introduction of const, what has happened is it has kind of given us a way of defining something which is going to be constant all the time. We don't want to change these values. Okay, result might be changed, it's okay. It's like we don't want it to be 50 all the time. It might change depending on the functionality. Let's say you are creating a game and the final result will obviously change on the score, correct? तो ये वैल्यू चेंज हो सकती है, बट 3.14 आई डोंट थिंक कुछ चेंज करने की जरूरत है. एंड दैट्स व्हाई this difference let and const has given us a better way, saved a lot of time for us in terms of error handling. Okay, so and the reason I have written it in capital is because it is a kind of a standard. Anything that you are defining as a constant, if you write it in capital, name it in capital, it kind of tells me that okay, this is a constant value. Maybe 3.14 is something that we are not going to change, and we use it constant. तो ये थोड़े बहुत standards और specifications हैं जो आप practice के साथ या dev community के साथ कर सकते हो. With time you will start understanding all these small little things. But are you getting the idea of this change? Imagine there was 100 line of code, 200 lines of code, and somewhere on 190th line I had to use pi, and someone changed the pi value at 180 line. That would create a bug for me, and it will take a lot of time to just go ahead and see that where that problem has occurred. In that way, it has made a lot of life easier, right? So there's a question: if we change the assignment at const declaration, value can be changed, right? What do you mean by that, Sridhar? Can you unmute and explain?
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sir.
What
What
are
I
you
was
saying?
during the time of declaration, if you change the value, then the values will be reflected elsewhere, no, sir?
Yeah, so if you change it right over
Yeah,
here, then it will. Obviously,
yeah,
that time
yeah.
you are declaring it. It's not like it gets logged once you have written it. अगर आपने इसको change भी करना है तो you can change the assignment value. ठीक है? Okay. All right. So this is the declaration part. So let's go and talk about the data types. इसको मैं comment कर देता हूँ. And I'm going to say data types. Right here. Data types. Do you guys observe the way I comment the code most of the times? Have you seen the difference in the code? And index HTML का कोडिंग सॉरी कमेंटिंग जो था वो थोड़ा अलग होता है, ऐसा होता है. CSS का कमेंटिंग ऐसा होता है. और जावास्क्रिप्ट का दो तरीके से होता है. अगर आप सिंगल लाइन कमेंट लिखना चाह रहे हो तो ऐसे कर सकते हो. अगर आपको मल्टी लाइन कमेंट लिखना है तो देन यू यूज दिस वन स्टार something like this, and you can start writing. So I will say data types. And there are multiple data types. It is like the way we define it. So let's say one is number. Not let's say, it is the number. Let me just enter this. Two is strings. Three is null. Or first I'll say talk about Boolean. Fourth is null. Fifth is undefined. And sixth is objects, which is a very important, and most of the things are going to around revolve around objects. And there is a one new data type that got introduced as a part of ES6, और इस पे हम ज़्यादा डिस्कशन नहीं करेंगे क्योंकि ये थोड़ा कंफ्यूजिंग हो सकता है. तो ES6 के फीचर में ये आया था सिंबल्स. ठीक है, जेसॉन वेसॉन का नाम सुना होगा आप लोगों ने, आपने काफ़ी यूज़ भी किया था. तो ES6 एक टाइप ऑफ सिंबल है, सॉरी जेसॉन इज अ टाइप ऑफ सिंबल. ठीक है. All right, cool. So these are the major data types. So when I talk about data types, JavaScript doesn't work like rest of the examples. Okay, it doesn't work like rest of the uh, coding. What it does is you don't have to specify. Even Python works in a very simple manner. Don't worry, Diksha, we will talk about that. Python works in a very similar way like JavaScript, but it is not same. थोड़े बहुत फीचर्स सिमिलर हो सकते हैं पाइथन के. इसमें हमें डिफाइन नहीं करना पड़ता है कि whether it is a number or a string or a boolean or what is a null undefined object. ये सारी चीजें JavaScript understands automatically. Why? Because it is a very loosely typed language. I call this as a loosely typed. It gives us a lot of freedom. It gives us a lot of freedom of writing what we want to, and creates very easy usage of the language. क्योंकि जब मैं जावा पढ़ता था तो मेरे को बहुत टेंशन होती थी कि यार इसका डेटा टाइप क्या करें, स्ट्रिंग रखें, कैरेक्टर रखें, क्या रखें. यहाँ पे क्या है, आप कुछ भी रखो वो अपने आप अंडरस्टैंड कर जाएगा. No, array is not a data type of JavaScript. It comes under it comes under objects. Yeah. Okay, so let's start off, and I will say let score is equal to 10, and I will say let result is equal to 10. तो यहाँ पे JavaScript will automatically interpret and say, okay, this is a number data type. And when we are talking about strings, we need to specify double quotes or single quotes. The standard is whenever we are trying to implement any kind of result or storing a string, we use single quotes initially. If there is a need, then we do it in double quotes. So JavaScript will automatically understand that this is a string data type and this is a number data type. As you can see, the variable for declaration is still let, but internally it will understand. So let me just show you console.log, and I say score. And you can also space it out with a comma to print multiple values and result. So if I do this and save it, what do you see? You see 10 and 10. ठीक है, तो एक वैल्यू तुम्हारा स्मॉल वैल्यूज सॉरी एक नंबर वैल्यू है और एक तुम्हारा स्ट्रिंग वैल्यू है. Okay, now this means it is a very loosely typed language. You don't have to go ahead and specify it. Okay, the reason it is not being shown on the screen because I haven't interacted with my document over here. What I'm doing is I'm just interacting with my uh, console over here by saying console.log. Log the result in my console basically. Okay, all right, yeah Nitin, correct. So whenever you're defining anything, it automatically picks up. So based on this, I'll do something. So there are also operators and it uses bed mass. Bed mass पता है क्या होता है? So let final score is equal to score plus result. So if I save this, what will be the value? Yeah, the BODMAS rule. The BODMAS rule is called bedmass in JavaScript. Okay, Raj Kamal says 10 plus 10. Error. Think 10, 10. A lot of you are saying 10, 10. Error. Concatenate. Internal string conversion. Explicit conversion. ठीक है, बड़े बड़े वर्ड्स आ रहे हैं आप लोगों की तरफ से. Let me do this final score. So if I do this, it says 1010. So what is happening is it is kind of combining these two and making it plus. तो ये अब मैं let's say मैं एक लिखता हूँ penalty and I change it to minus. अब क्या result होगा? What will be the output of this? Error. प्लस में तो समझ में आ गया कि चलो ठीक है, concatenate हो गया क्योंकि एक string value था और एक number value था, तो JavaScript ने उसको concatenate कर दिया. माइनस में क्या करेगा वो? Zero error. Okay, let's go ahead and check it out. So let me just write penalty. Okay, what do you see? 1010 and 0. Why is it happening? Let me clear it out and refresh this page. I think that dev error is due to injection hooks. Okay, I'll remove this later. Anyway, coming back, 0 and 1010. ये थोड़ा सा confusing है. क्या कर रहा है? Why 0? Right? Correct. So now JavaScript has, as I said, it's a loosely typed language. When it sees that there is a number inside string, and when you're using a plus value, it takes the default value of concatenating. This is concatenating. This is concatenating. And here it is doing mathematical operation. Why? concatenating means combining two of them, 1 0 and 1 0, क्योंकि दोनों का वैल्यू 10 और 10 है, तो दोनों को जोड़ दिया एक साथ, राइट? सो 10 प्लस 10 इट इज गिविंग 10. अगर ये मैं कॉमा हटा देता हूं, अगर मैं ये कॉमा हटा देता हूं तो आउटपुट विल बी 20 एंड 0. ठीक है, क्योंकि concatenating is going to be not, concatenation happens only with strings. Okay, so I'll just write it out and make it string again. So it is going to be 1 0 1 0 and 0. So second वाले में फिर क्यों इसको string नहीं समझ में आ रहा है, उसको नहीं पता string है. It does know, but it also understands that this is a kind of a number inside it. So if I see the absolute value of this string, there is nothing called 10 in alphabet. Okay, what will be the data type of final score and penalty? You tell me, what will be the data type of final score? Good question, very good question, Sakshi. Okay, and penalty is number. तो अगर आपको किसी का डेटा टाइप जानना है, ठीक है, तो उसके लिए एक चीज होती है that is called type of. Okay, this is a keyword which helps us to understand the type of any kind of variable that we have used. So if I go ahead and check it out, console.log type of and जो भी चीज है इसके सामने जो भी आप लिखोगे उसका डेटा टाइप वो बता देगा. So I will say final score. So it is going to tell me final score and what it comes as string, right? It comes as string. But if I go ahead and do it for penalty, it is going to show me as numbers. Correct? क्योंकि क्या हो रहा है, वो ऑटोमेटिकली कन्वर्ट कर दे रहा है स्कोर और रिजल्ट को इन अ स्ट्रिंग. अगर स्ट्रिंग और नंबर को कॉन्कैटिनेट कर रहा है तो वो ऑटोमेटिकली कन्वर्ट कर दे रहा है. नाउ लेट्स एवरेज इट आउट, एवरेज स्कोर. ठीक है, तो एवरेज स्कोर को हम लोग बोलते हैं कि चलो फाइनल स्कोर डिवाइड बाय लेट्स से लेट टोटल गेम्स इज इक्वल टू 5. 5 गेम खेला, so I will say total games. माइनस में स्ट्रिंग इसलिए नहीं बना क्योंकि आप सोचो कि स्ट्रिंग में या आप कोई सेंटेंस क्रिएट करते हो या वर्ड क्रिएट करते हो तो उसमें आप माइनस तो नहीं कर सकते हो. प्लस के साथ आप क्या कर सकते हो कि चलो ठीक है, दो चीज को ऐड कर रहे हैं और वो दो अलग टाइप की चीज है तो वो साथ में आ जाएंगी, लाइक दो अलग टाइप की चीज साथ में आ गई. बट माइनस में क्या बोलोगे, लेट्स से कि अगर इसका नंबर नाम कुछ और होता, रिजल्ट में कुछ नाम लिख देते हम लोग जो अभी हम लोग देखेंगे, उस समय इसको नहीं समझ में आता. बट 10 इज एन एब्सोल्यूट वैल्यू. अगर इसका एब्सोल्यूट वैल्यू देखा जाए देन दिस इज अ नंबर, it is representing a number. So JavaScript automatically understands that. All right, so average score आ गया. अब यहाँ पे console.log average score करते हैं. Average score तो 202 है. क्या हो रहा है ये, पहले में फाइनल स्कोर बना आपका स्ट्रिंग और उसके बाद जब मैंने टोटल गेम से डिवाइड किया तो उसने 1010 को डिवाइड करके 202 कर दिया. What will be the data type of average score? स्ट्रिंग को डिवाइड किया है हमने नंबर से, क्या बनेगा ये? ओके, मजा आ रहा है जावास्क्रिप्ट देख के. इसको करते हैं टाइप ऑफ. क्या आया इसका? नंबर. लास्ट वाला जो वैल्यू है इसका आया नंबर, क्योंकि उसको पता है कि टोटल नंबर ऑफ गेम्स, अगर मैं इसको ये कर दूं, क्या होगा इसका वैल्यू? व्हाट डू यू थिंक इज गोइंग टू बी द वैल्यू फॉर दिस वन? एरर. ओके, ऑलराइट. अब थोड़े से आउटपुट्स डिफर करने लगे लोगों के. चलो सेव करके देखते हैं क्या आया. 202. अगेन इम्प्लिसिट कन्वर्शन. तो इसको समझ में आ रहा है, जावास्क्रिप्ट इज एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट वी आर ट्राइंग टू प्ले विद अ नंबर. ओके, सो when I say this bed mass, it has this bracket exponent division addition and subtraction. Okay, bed mass rule तो basic school का है. Okay, multiplication मिस कर गया क्या? BEDM, yeah, multiplication. Yeah. So if you see this, this follows a rule. तो अगर मैं ये सारी चीजें, let me just keep it over here. I'll just comment this part out. हाँ वो करते हैं दीपक in a moment. Yes, bed mass and all. So now let's say value is equal to, I'll say final score double star. When I do double star, it means exponent to the power of 2. I'll put it in a bracket and then multiply it with 10, divide it by penalty, put it in a bracket, plus total games. ऐसे रैंडम कोई रूल नहीं है, ये कोई फॉर्मूला नहीं है, मैं बस आप लोग को ये दिखाना चाह रहा हूँ. सो इट विल कैलकुलेट अकॉर्डिंगली. जल्दी से मैथ्स करके बताओ क्या होगा इसका, सारे वैल्यूज को देख के. सो इट्स लाइक फाइनल स्कोर इज 10 + 10, 1010. कर सकते हो जल्दी से. I would not suggest that, and I will leave the code to do it for me, and I'll say show me the value. So this is the value, and it is going to calculate this value with this rule. So first of all, it will take care of bracket, and then it will take care of exponent. Okay, exponent, then division or multiplication. They have the same priority: division and multiplication, and addition and subtraction. So it's basically basic arithmetic rule that we have. All right, ठीक है. ये कोई रूल नहीं है ऑब्वियसली. ऐसा कोई स्कोरिंग अगर है तो आप वो गेम खेलना ही मत, इतना गंदा रूल. सो आई जस्ट वांटेड टू शो यू हाउ दिस वर्क्स. नाउ if I make change here and I just make it to 5, will this calculation work? Okay, what will it show? No error. Chalo, let's save it and see. It comes up with a very weird type. It says NaN, and it means not a number. Okay, so the value here, I'm just going to leave it over here as not a number. So not a number. अगर मैं not a number, तो value का data type क्या होगा? What will be the data type of value? String, undefined. Check कर लेते हैं quickly. type of value. Not a number is a number. क्या कंफ्यूज कर रहा है ना जावास्क्रिप्ट? बढ़िया. Are you guys following कि जावास्क्रिप्ट काम कैसे करता है? So what it is saying is that यहाँ पे जब मैंने 5 लिखा था, जावास्क्रिप्ट was very well able to give me the value. जैसे ही मैंने कोई वर्ड चेंज किया यहाँ पे, एक वर्ड में बना दिया, तो it is not able to understand that. And the reason is यहाँ पे total games 5 अगर मैं लिखता तो इतना पार्ट एग्जीक्यूट होता कि नहीं? would have been executed or not? Right? It would have concatenated it simply. So I'll just go ahead and console.log only that part जहाँ पे introduce किया हमने penalty plus this. So it has executed 0, 5. But if we try to divide something with this kind of a value, is it a numerical value? No, right? It doesn't make any sense. So when JavaScript tries to evaluate this whole expression, it finds something which does not make sense in maths. It has been written in such a way that it relates to maths as well. So it says I cannot divide this, and whatever value that is going to come, it is going to be not a number. It is not going to be any number, which obviously boils down to the type is going to be number. So it's like a edge case. It's like a edge case condition on numbers कि अगर कोई ऐसी चीज जो mathematically defined नहीं है, then it will become not a number. ठीक है? तो इस पे हम लोग थोड़ा सा play along करते हैं, but उससे पहले एक किसी का question है, what if we use star instead of plus यहाँ पे? तो बताओ कैसे चेंज होगा? यहाँ पे अगर मैंने स्टार यूज कर लिया, मल्टीप्लाई तो होगा, बट यहाँ पे क्या आएगा? सॉरी, इसको भी चेंज करते हैं, इसको प्लस ही रहने देते हैं. व्हाट विल कम ओवर हियर? Not a number. Again, mathematically 0 into word 5 will make no sense in maths, right? The absolute value of 5 is not numerical. It is something in a word format. Okay? So this is going to be not a number. भेजा घूम गया? How many of you are able to follow before I move on? Clear? No, there is nothing like not a string. रोहित, it might take a little bit of time. एक बार आप खुद से प्रैक्टिस करना ये सारी चीजें जो भी मैंने किया हुआ है. It will make sense. ठीक है, तो अभी हमने 2 डेटा टाइप देखा, लेकिन बहुत अच्छे से नहीं देखा. स्ट्रिंग नंबर्स देख लिया अच्छे से, बट अब हम स्ट्रिंग्स देखते हैं. थोड़ा सा इसको ऐसा स्कूट करके कमेंट कर देता हूं. ओके, नाउ I'll talk about strings in general. What are strings? So string is any value. String is any value which is written in quotes, single quotes or double quotes. It will mean the same thing. So if I go ahead and say console.log type of hello, so the output is going to be string. Or if I make it single quotes. So we mostly use single quotes as a standard coding practice. Shortcut to comment control plus /. करेक्ट अनुराग, काफी बार लोगों ने बता चुका है ये, शायद a lot of you guys have already said that. If I say hello, it is going to tell me the same thing. So as a coding practice, we use single quotes most of the time. We use double quotes in a scenario where we might want to use a apostrophe or something, right? So let's say he is, or let's say it's is a word, right? It's raining. ठीक है, तो इस सिनेरियो में अगर मैंने सिंगल कोट यूज किया होता तो क्या होता कि यहीं पे वो खत्म हो जाता, तो यहां से मेरे को प्रॉब्लम हो जाती. सो डिपेंडिंग ऑन द सिनेरियो वी माइट यूज डबल कोट्स. ठीक है, ये थोड़ा कंफ्यूजिंग हो गया. या एंड इफ आई डू दिस सेव इट अगेन, इट इज अ टाइप ऑफ स्ट्रिंग. ओके, मेक सेंस कि हम सिंगल और डबल कोट्स कब यूज करते हैं. ओके, so this is a type of string. So let's say let is equal to raining. अब जावास्क्रिप्ट ने क्या किया है, हम लोग को बहुत सारी फंक्शनैलिटी दी है. बहुत सारी फंक्शनैलिटी दी है. इस स्ट्रिंग पे हम बहुत सारी चीजें कर सकते हैं. ठीक है, ये एक स्ट्रिंग वैल्यू, आप इसमें 2 लिखो, 3 लिखो, 3 4 चीज लिखो, इट विल ऑलवेज बी अ स्ट्रिंग. What I can do is I can use a lot of methods that are there on string, and I will say word dot, let's say, to upper case. And when I talk about a method, I use open and close brackets. Okay, so when I talk about this word to uppercase, इससे क्या होगा, so this is a predefined method in JavaScript. ठीक है, and when we talk about a predefined method in JavaScript, it means it is going to do some functionality on the existing word or whatever variable we are trying to access, और directly word पे भी कर सकते हैं, जो कि मैं आपको दिखाऊंगा. तो अभी क्या कर रहा है, JavaScript is doing its work but it is not visible क्योंकि मैंने कहीं print नहीं किया इसको. So let's go ahead and say console.log and see what happens. And what it does is it changes it to the uppercase. ठीक है, तो ये फंक्शनैलिटी स्ट्रिंग पे लगा सकते हैं. क्या ये हम नंबर पे लगा सकते हैं? Let number be 10 and I will say console.log number dot to upper string case. लाइक लॉजिकली सोचो, अगर आपको नहीं भी आता तो सोच के देखो, लगा सकते हैं? नहीं, राइट? मतलब सेंस ही नहीं बनती है कि 10 को अपर केस में क्या करेंगे. तो वो फंक्शनैलिटी लिखा भी हुआ है इन्होंने कि आप नंबर को क्या कर रहे हो, लाइक अपर केस से क्या मतलब है, वो मैं स्ट्रिंग को कर दूंगा बट नंबर को आई कांट डू इट. ओके, so that's why JavaScript is so well thought of and it is such a powerful language, and it has been increasing in popularity since then. Okay, similarly, let's say अब मेरे को तो ये मेरे को पता कैसे चलेगा? Before I move any further into this, I want to show you the holy grail of JavaScript, and that is something I usually refer the documentations from the developers itself. जिन्होंने JavaScript लिखी है उसी का documentation I try to refer, and I try to give it as a reference to everyone else as well. So this is it. I'm going to forward it to you as well. Yeah. So developer.mozilla.org. So this is the documented created by the developers for the developers. Okay. Yes, Ravindra, good question. I will talk about that. I just used it and realized I should be talking about that as well. I'll come to that in a moment, Ravindra. Okay, so now here, if I want to talk about JavaScript, I just type JavaScript. and I search and just click on it and see what it is. So it tells me brief history, origin, everything, and it talks about the latest ECMAScript standards, reference on MDN, everything. So I'm going to click on this. Now by this reference, it is going to tell me all the things that we need. Okay. So before I go into this, I am talking about built-in objects. And यहाँ पे अगर मैं आपको सबसे पहले दिखाऊं, I don't want to confuse you. There are a lot of things in JavaScript, but जो मैं data types की बात कर रहा था, उसको expand किया हुआ है. Number data types जो हमने बात करी, it's kind of telling you what this means. अब ये constructor पे हम लोग आएंगे. It will make more sense when we talk about all the data types and then move on to this. But it automatically understands the data type. Okay, it is the same thing for this. अब इसमें अगर कोई methods है जो मैं अभी आपको बता रहा था, जैसे जो अभी आपने देखा टू अपर केस फॉर स्ट्रिंग, सिमिलरली नंबर्स के लिए भी कुछ मेथड्स हैं यहाँ पे. प्रोटोटाइप से कंफ्यूज मत करना, इसको मत देखो अभी. मैं आपको स्ट्रिंग्स दिखाता हूँ क्योंकि स्ट्रिंग्स के ज़्यादा आसान है इनिशियली, एंड देन वी विल मूव ऑन टू द number and all this prototype and what this means. So I'll go to string. Where is the string part? Yeah. So everything in Java, मैं आपको अभी बता दे रहा हूँ that everything in JavaScript is a object at the end of the day. When we talk about what are objects, it will make more sense. But जो भी चीज़ें JavaScript में बनती हैं वो object के terms में बनती हैं. Okay. So as you can see, यहाँ पे all the things that we require is given. और जितने भी methods हैं, जैसे one such method was to uppercase, as you have seen, जो मैंने यूज किया था, वो सारे methods का description on the left hand side दिया हुआ है. And there are some which says down arrow. When I talk about down arrow, what it means is it is getting deprecated. Like you don't want to learn about those stuff because in future version ES5 या नए version में this is not going to be of use. The ones that you can use is without the down arrows, and if you want to read about what each and every method does, you can just click on it. Because with time they are removing a lot of methods from JavaScript which seems like irrelevant और ज़्यादा use नहीं होता है, unnecessary है, so that कि language भी थोड़ी और efficient हो जाए and it becomes a little bit more lighter in terms, because ये extra चीज़ें रख के there is no point. ठीक है. तो अभी हमने टू अपर केस किया था, वो कहीं दिखा क्या आप लोग को? हाँ ये रहा, टू लोअर केस, टू अपर केस, टू अपर केस. या तो अब मैं इस पे क्लिक करता हूँ, इट विल गिव मी एन एक्सप्लेनेशन ऑफ व्हाट थिंग्स मींस, एंड देयर इज अ लाइव एडिटर ओवर हियर वेयर यू कैन ट्राई इट आउट. या okay, so if I run this is going to convert everything to uppercase. Now if I can change the sentence over here, my own sentence, and I run this, my own sentence. So you can play around with this, you can understand what this means. And you see these guys has also used a single quote instead of double quotes. Double quotes भी use कर सकते थे. ठीक है. तो जहाँ पे confusion होने लगे कि कुछ नया words दिखे, मत करना. But initially अगर आपको समझ में आ रहा है, जितना अभी आपको समझ में आ रहा है, उसके साथ play along करना. Now one thing you will see is इनके सबके साथ string.prototype लिखा हुआ है. It is basically a way of saying जो मैंने यहाँ पे create किया है ना, word, and then it is becoming raining. Internally JavaScript इस whole चीज को string.prototype में store करता है. अभी basically ये समझ लो, इसलिए वहाँ पे string.prototype लिखा हुआ है. तो कुछ भी सेव करेंगे that becomes your string.prototype. And remember it is a capital S. जब हमने type of लिखा था तब small s था. Remember you guys? जब मैं type of लिख रहा था तो वो small s था, but यहाँ पे हमने capital S लिखा है. Not camel case, just the capital S in terms. दोनों में difference होता है, इसलिए याद रखना ये point. ठीक है. जहाँ पे कैपिटल एस स्ट्रिंग या कैपिटल एस नंबर्स, तो ये ऐसे होता है, दो तरीके से होता है, बहुत जगह आप ऐसे देखोगे, एंड देन वी हैव स्ट्रिंग ओवर हियर। ओके, ये दोनों में डिफरेंस होता है थोड़ा सा, ठीक है। ऑलराइट, सो कमिंग बैक टू पॉइंट दैट रविंद्र मेड, can I use number as a name? Yes, I can use it. Can I use string as a name? क्या लगता है? String as a name. And I'll just console.log. String. प्रॉब्लम होगी अगर मैं सेव करूं इसको तो? वर्ड इज नॉट डिफाइंड, ठीक है, क्योंकि मैंने वर्ड का नाम ही हटा दिया। Yeah. So in JavaScript, as I said, JavaScript is not letting you say कि ठीक है, अगर मैं कोई वेरिएबल स्टोर कर रहा हूँ स्कोर की तरीके से, so I'm not typing it as number score, right? I'm just using let variable for storing it. So you cannot use let as a keyword. So अगर मैं यहाँ पे जाके let लिख दूँ is equal to 10, this is going to come out of my system and slap me and say don't use it. I'll show you. It says let is a disallowed as a lexically bound name, right? Here capital S, चलो करेगा ये? यहीं पे एरर फेंक देगा। क्या लगता है अगर मैं इसको console.log करूं, क्या प्रिंट होगा? कुछ तो प्रिंट होगा जरूर। इंटरेस्टिंग। तो कोई भी ऐसा कीवर्ड जो कि डिफाइंड है आप यूज नहीं कर सकते हो, बट स्टिल इट इज वेरी लूजली कपल्ड, ठीक है। नो, व्हाई इज इट अ गार्बेज वैल्यू? इट्स 10, the value that I wanted. I'll make it 100, 200, 500, whatever, bigger number. रजनीश, अभी तो ये बहुत बेसिक है, आप मर्न कैसे करोगे? लीव करने का मन कर, दिस आई गेट अ लॉट, आई नो। JavaScript is a scripting language. We call it a scripting language or a functional programming language. So it is a words can be minced. एक बार आप समझ जाओगे JavaScript अच्छे से तो आपको ये words ज़्यादा sense करेंगे. It will make more sense to you. Okay. I don't understand that question, Venkatesh. Anyway, by the time you explain your question, I will move ahead and you can actually just go ahead and I will make use of some of the values. Let's say hello है मेरे पास और उसका एक इतने सारे मेथड्स हैं जो मैं यूज कर सकता हूँ। तो इसमें मेरे को लेट्स से कैरेक्टर एक्सट्रैक्ट करना है फ्रॉम सर्टेन पॉइंट। तो कहाँ से एक्सट्रैक्ट करना है? एक नंबर दे सकते हैं, ये नंबर देते हैं लेट्स से 4. What it will do is, which one will it extract? O, correct. It is going to extract O because the numbering starts from 0. you might be aware of it. The index starts from 0 for any naming convention. So before I go into this, there is one thing in string which helps us to get the value of it, कि कितना बड़ा है. Hello and good evening. So when I do this and say dot length, now you see over here I am not going to make that function wala cheez. I'm not going to open and close that stuff. Why? Because this is called a property. This is not a method. ये सारी छोटी छोटी चीजें बहुत important हैं and matter करती हैं when you are trying to learn something. So when I say dot length, it gives me the length of this whole string. As you can see, it is 22. And by 22, I mean it is going to start with 0 from wherever it started, from H. And the total count is going to be 22 at the end of G. Okay? It's 20 plus spaces. How it is 20 though? Yes, it will include the spaces as the counting as well. ठीक है? तो length एक property. It's like I am calling out कि left hander है कि right hander है. Let's say I'll ask Abhishek, are you a left hander or a right hander? So he will say I'm a right hander or left hander, whatever, depending on that. And that is a property of Abhishek, right? Similarly, ये string की properties है कि इसका length क्या है. But is he a left arm fast bowler or a left arm spin bowler? That is a kind of a method that Abhishek has. Left arm spin bowler is something that only Abhishek can do, right? He can spin the ball, or he can seam the ball or swing the ball, right? So that way it is specific to string, the method, the thing that I'm trying to do. Abhishek is seaming the ball is kind of a method that Abhishek can do. But he's doing it with left hand or a right hand is a property of him. So are you understanding the difference between the two? जब हम लोग object data type पढ़ेंगे तो ये it will make more sense. But initially ये दोनों में ये basic difference आप समझ सकते हो. Alright. तो explore करना इसमें string prototypes में और क्या करता है each type of string prototype, not prototype I won't say, but the methods, string methods. और उसके साथ आप play around कर सकते हो. अब हम लोग जल्दी से boolean पे देख लेते हैं. Boolean होता क्या है? Boolean. Now Boolean is another data type in JavaScript. When I talk about Boolean, most of you must be aware of this, and this is basically 0, 1. Everything that has true or false value will be a Boolean data type. Correct? So when I talk about true, I will also represent it with 1. When I talk about false, I will represent it with 0. So ab ye, let's confuse you guys a little bit more. Now, if I say type of 1, क्या आएगा ये? टाइप ऑफ क्या आएगा? नंबर आएगा, बूलियन आएगा. Okay, so if I save it, it's a number. अब मैं, this is a keyword, defined keyword, तो इसको आप as a variable नहीं यूज कर सकते. जब मैं true का type of करता हूं तो boolean आएगा. Correct? Similarly, if I say type of false, obviously these are keywords, it will say boolean. अब हम लोग क्या करते हैं, एक प्रॉपर्टी यूज करते हैं, console.log type of, और यहाँ पे let's say एक वैल्यू लिखते हैं 5 डॉट इज nan. ठीक है? क्या आएगा इसका वैल्यू? सेव, कुछ है ही नहीं, वैल्यू कहाँ से आएगा? तो जब भी ऐसी दुविधा हो, हमें क्या करना चाहिए? हमें जाना चाहिए और देखना चाहिए इस नैन नाम का कुछ है भी कि नहीं है। तो इसको थोड़ा बड़ा करना पड़ेगा और नंबर में हमें देखना पड़ेगा कि क्या था एग्जैक्टली। सो आई वांट टू गो टू नंबर्स and isnan. So how does it work? So isnan does not work with this. Isnan is kind of a function or a method in itself. तो हम इसको ऐसे नहीं यूज कर सकते, इसको इसके अंदर वैल्यू देनी पड़ेगी, ठीक है? तो दिस आई वांटेड टू शो यू व्हेन यू आर स्टक समवेयर। नाउ इसका क्या वैल्यू होगा? व्हाट डू यू थिंक द वैल्यू ऑफ दिस इज गोइंग टू बी? boolean, correct. And if I remove this, what will be the value? False, true? One, zero. Okay, let's check it out. It's going to be true value. ठीक है? तो आपको इतना तो समझ में आ गया होगा कि boolean deals with true and false only. ठीक है? All right, let's just check it out. Conditional statements के बारे में पता है ना आपको? If else, most of you understand conditional statements. Do I need to go into that? ठीक है? Cool. So if else का जो statement है, what it does is it goes only when it is true, otherwise it comes when there is a false value. So if I do this 1 and say console.log very true, ठीक है? Otherwise I will say console.log very wrong, not wrong, very false तो अच्छा word नहीं होगा, very wrong लिख देते हैं अभी के लिए. So let's check it out. क्या value आएगा? Very true, right? तो अगर 1 पे ये 1 को क्या कंसिडर कर रहा है? ट्रू कंसिडर कर रहा है. इफ आई राइट लेट्स से हेलो, क्या होगा? सेम. डू यू गाइस अग्री विद सेम? लेट्स सेव इट. वेरी ट्रू. अब ये कर रहा है कंफ्यूज. अब यहां पे डालते हैं हम 0. क्या होगा इसका आउटपुट? वेरी रॉन्ग. ओके, सो what is happening is if we have some values which is not 0 or false, then it is considered as truthy values. Okay, so let's call it truthy values. Okay, any value except 0 and false. ठीक है? So if I type, even if I type something, I type empty string. अच्छा, इसका बताओ मेरे को, इसका क्या होगा? If I type an empty string, true. Let's check it out. Very wrong. ठीक है, तो एक और फॉल्सी वैल्यूज में लिखते हैं. फॉल्सी वैल्यूज एनी वैल्यू लिख दिया यहाँ पे, और फॉल्सी में हम लिखते हैं 0 false empty string which is an empty string not a number. होगा क्या? तो वो कर सकते हैं हम लोग यहाँ पे. कैसे करें नॉट अ नंबर? 10 डिवाइडेड बाय hello. It's not a number, right? So it goes inside, very wrong. So even 10 divided by 0 is not a number, right? Let's say let condition is equal to this. और यहाँ पे डाल देते हैं condition. So this is not a number and it is showing me false. So again, this is a falsy value. Correct? अभी हमने null और undefined के बारे में नहीं देखा है, but even undefined is falsy value. Null ट्रूथी वैल्यू है, falsy वैल्यू है? क्या लगता है, मतलब ऐसे सोच के क्या लग रहा है? फॉल्स, ठीक है, तो चलो उसको हम लोग रखते हैं अभी साइड में. बट बूलियन डेटा टाइप समझ में आया कैसे होता है? तो there will be a lot of functions in string, if you will check, which will return you a true value or a false value. तो इसको थोड़ा बड़ा करते हैं या खुद ही यूज कर लेते हैं, चलो. So let's say I want to check let's say HELLO dot includes. So this is another method that I'm introducing and which can work on a string value. ठीक है? Dot includes and whatever you want to search. Let's say I want to search E, but you'll have to make sure that you pass it inside quotes. If you don't pass it inside quotes, that means it will refer to it as a parameter and it will start looking for word E or parameter E. So this is going to give me a value of true. So what this method is doing is this is returning a Boolean value. Now based on this, you can go ahead and do a lot of functionalities. Are you understanding this? Locha to ho hi raha hai, but are you getting the overview of this whole thing? Right? So this is what your Boolean values are all about. And I'm going to leave it over here in a comment indented inside. या प्रैक्टिस करोगे, बहुत इजी चीज़ है. एक बार आप डेटा टाइप से यूज टू हो जाओ, नंबर, स्ट्रिंग, बूलियन, नल, अनडिफाइंड से, तो it will be much more easier for you to understand the language in general. As I said, this is a way of writing JavaScript. ठीक है, और ये बेसिक फंक्शनैलिटी एंड फाउंडेशन ऑफ जावास्क्रिप्ट अगर आपको नहीं आएगा तो आप आगे का जावास्क्रिप्ट का कोई भी चीज़ नहीं समझ पाओगे. Alright, is it too much for the day? Do you guys want to leave? Like, we will start the doubt session. I wanted to complete null and undefined and start off with objects tomorrow, because once we start objects, we are going to go at a very fast pace in terms of our React and then Node, because एक बार ये JS आ गया ना, उसके बाद जो सारा basic understanding है for MERN stack will be much more easier. तो एक बार quickly हम लोग undefined और null को एक साथ ही कर लेते हैं, so that you will have time to explore this stuff. So null is a data type, undefined is a data type. Okay, ये दोनों कर लेते हैं and then we will leave. So when I talk about null and undefined, I will say console.log type of how to define it. So let's say let log, let's take score itself. Let score और ऐसे छोड़ देते हैं and I'll say let result is equal to null. That is the difference between your null and data type, undefined. So if I go ahead and say score and console.log and I say type of result, थोड़ा confuse हो सकते हो आप, but save. Okay, I think I have इसको यहाँ use किया हुआ है. All right. What does it say? It says undefined and object. तो ये भेजा घुमाने कुछ नया आ गया, but null is a kind of a way. Yes, null is an object and score is undefined. So undefined, by the word of it, you will understand that something that JavaScript is looking for and it is not able to find it. So it does not know what kind of data type it is, whether it is a boolean, string, numbers, object, किस type का data type है उसको समझ में ही नहीं आ रहा है, ठीक है? And when it is not able to understand that, it says undefined. So anything that it is unable to understand, it will say undefined in general, ठीक है? तो अब इसको यहाँ पे लगाते हैं, ये वाला part if else को copy करते हैं and I'll just quickly put it over here. सही से इंडेंट हो जाओ. Yes, okay. अब यहाँ पे first I will do score. So what is going to be the output of this? You know, score is undefined and it is going to be very wrong. Okay, and if I do result, let's check it out. It still goes inside very wrong. Interesting, right? Interesting. So my truthy values and falsy values का जो update है इसमें आएगा null. क्यों? क्योंकि null का usage हम कब करते हैं? Let's take an example that you have created a profile of a user. Okay, and that user goes ahead and says, I want to deactivate my profile. And when you try to deactivate that profile, what do? You don't delete that person's profile, right? What you do is you just deactivate it for some time. So when someone searches for you on Facebook, let's say you deactivated your profile on Instagram, and when someone is trying to search your profile, they will not be able to see it because it is deactivated. You don't want your profile to be visible. So at that moment, let's say Instagram has used a value of null whenever I deactivated it. So let's say there is a status and you say deactivated, or when you press the button, this becomes null. So when it becomes null, what it does is it is kind of saying that the value does not exist for this particular person, but it is kind of there. When I'm trying to search for a person who has never created a profile, at that time it is going to be undefined. Are you able to understand the little difference between null and undefined? Right? So when we specifically go ahead and specify that the value is going to be null, then only it takes up the data type of null. But when you do not have any kind of a value of anything, जो यहाँ पे जैसे मैंने डिस्क्राइब तो कर दिया स्कोर, बट इसको वैल्यू नहीं दी है, तो इट डज नॉट अंडरस्टैंड कि ये क्या है, नंबर है, स्ट्रिंग है, बूलियन है, क्या है, इट डजंट नो. So it automatically takes up to a undefined data type. But when I specifically go ahead and say that, okay, this value is going to be null, like I don't want to store any kind of value for this, that is a way of saying null. So this is kind of a falsy value, right? and that's why it is coming as false. There is no such value. I want to keep that space empty, null and void. So this is a very basic difference. It comes into usage when you are trying to implement some logic, let's say, जो मैंने आपको login वाला ये वाला बताया कि activate deactivate करना है, या if you're trying to delete your profile, then what you do is you remove the data for that particular user and you say, are you sure you want to delete it? And you go ahead, say yes, then I wipe it out from my system. And when I then again try to search that user, now it is not null, it is going to give me undefined. Okay. All right. So this makes sense, a lot of sense. Obviously, check out on these data types. I am going to save this, comment it out, everything, and आप लोग video follow करते करते देख लेना साथ में. As soon as you get it, I will just push it on the, let's see the status. And on the main branch, I've added this git commit -m JavaScript and data types. ठीक है, अब इसको मैं कर देता हूँ push, git push origin main, and there you go. It is up and available for you guys. थोड़ा सा जिसको थोड़ा सा ऐसा लग रहा है कि बहुत ज़्यादा confusing है, कुछ confusing नहीं है. It's only the only thing is that it has come in a very short duration of time, so you might be a little confused at the moment. But take a step-by-step process. Try to understand each data type. Just play around a bit. Try to work with MDN. This is a very important documentation जिसमें आपको पूरी JavaScript सिखा सकता है बैठे बैठे. But वही है problem कि पढ़ने में बहुत बार नहीं समझ में आता. You need to see it, and that's why we are here. We are providing you with that service that you understand. I have gone through this document and I still refer to this a lot because I also don't remember everything. You can't remember everything, not humanly possible. So that's why I keep referring the documents, and I'm not going to confuse you with a lot of document because there is a lot of things out there. 50 crore blog है एक चीज के लिए, same चीज के लिए. So I always stick to the documents which are authentic, which are created by the developers for the developers. Okay, so that's why I also share that kind of documents. If you guys find out something good and you want to share it with people, the forum is open. Slack is always an open channel where I see a lot of you guys interacting, and keep doing that. But I will be sharing only the authentic documents, which is created by the people who created JavaScript. All right, so I think this is enough for the day. Do you want me to take up doubts, or I think we are also short on time, but we still have 10 minutes. So those of you who want to go ahead and start trying with this, have a nice day, remaining of the night, and take care of yourself. I'll see you tomorrow at the same time. Those of you who have doubt, raise of hands, and we will continue from here. No doubts? You guys have taken note of the website that I shared with you? Okay, cool. Thank you, Om. You too. var and let को मैं आपको अच्छे से एक्सप्लेन करूंगा कल, प्रतीक, और अच्छे से जब हम लोग स्कोप के बारे में बात करेंगे. ठीक है, अभी के लिए इसको ऐसा सोचो कि let is the latest way of using it, and var is also something similar. var is a combination of let and const. ठीक है, उन्होंने var को डिवाइड कर दिया. जब हम लोग स्कोप के बारे में बात करेंगे तब आपको ये चीज अच्छे से समझ में आएगी. Data member and method like member function of a class. Ravinder, what are you trying to ask? I am not getting it. Can you tell me? Unmute yourself and speak about it.
Hello, am I
Yeah,
audible?
yeah, go ahead.
So earlier we saw that string have some methods, and you showed a property called length.
Yes,
In length we don't use parentheses. So
correct.
similarly, in classes we have data members and member functions, right?
Yes,
And
correct.
data members we don't use any parentheses, and we can assign values to them.
Yes, something
And
like
in
that.
member function we perform some operation. So is it similar to that only?
Yes, exactly similar to that. It's just that everything in JavaScript is an object, and when we talk about object, I will show you the difference between a property and a method. We don't
Okay.
call it functions over here, and it is very similar to what you are saying. Exactly similar to what you're saying.
Okay.
जो कंस्ट्रक्टर्स होते हैं वो हमारे जावास्क्रिप्ट में भरे हुए हैं. हर चीज जो हमने क्रिएट किया है इज अ कंस्ट्रक्टर इन
Yeah,
जावास्क्रिप्ट.
yeah. I was also like connecting,
Yeah.
trying to connect it with that only.
Yeah, but do not compare it with Java, okay? Do not
Yeah, yeah,
confuse
yeah.
ki
Sure,
acha
sure,
Java.
sure. I
Yeah,
was just trying to like
yeah.
refer or
Yeah,
connect
good,
it.
good, good, good that you have that analogy, and it is going to make things clear for you as well.
Okay, fine. Thanks a lot.
All right, bye bye. Can we delete a folder from our Git repository? Yes, Ganga, you can. You're talking about the GitHub one, or you're talking about the local one in GitHub. So what you'll have to do is, there are two ways of doing it. You want to delete the repository, like completely remove the repository, right? So there is a repository, and inside that you want to remove some folder, right? Ganga, if I'm getting you.
Yeah, I want to remove only one folder.
Okay, so what you can do is, like if it is in local repository, what you need to do is just go ahead, delete it in the local repository. I'll just quickly close this and share the complete screen. Okay, so let's say a beginner MERN is my GitHub repository, and if I delete any one of them, I'll go ahead and delete it from here. Okay, whatever I want to delete, I move it to trash, and I type what happened to my terminal. So it will start tracking it. It will say, okay, uh, in the status bar, it will say that you have removed something. If I can just create a new tab, 1 second. Yeah. So if I see the status, it will say that these are the deleted ones. So you do the regular thing, git commit, git add, and git push. So what it will do is when you push it from here, it will go and delete it from your repository as well. Or what else you can do is you can delete it from your repo itself directly, right click karke, or by using the options on the GitHub, and pull the changes to local. So it will delete that repository over here as well. Okay. Does it make sense?
Yeah, I'll try.
Okay. For those who want to completely remove a repository, you will have to go to settings tab. आप देखते होगे टॉप पे commit, issues, feedback, actions, उसमें एक settings आता है. उसमें जाके आपको manage access करके एक tab आएगा साइड में, manage access. Let me just show you instead of talking about it. Just give me a second. So yeah, that will remove the complete repository, not just a single folder. Give me a second. My system is kind of heating up. All those who want to leave can leave. I'm just going to quickly show it to the people who want to see it. Username change करना थोड़ा मुश्किल है क्योंकि username is like your ID on GitHub. So अगर आपको वो pushing वाला name change करना है जो push करके आता है, उसके लिए you can use the config command locally and push it, and वो name आपका अपने आप update हो जाएगा. Okay, so I'll share my GitHub's desktop too. Can you guys see it? Yeah. Okay. So when you see this, So this is a repository. Testing GitHub is a repository. Now I want to delete this repository. So I'll go to my settings tab right on the top, as you can see. And inside this, there is this, I think it is in this only. Yeah, the first one only. There is this danger zone. First options may, there is this danger zone. And you can change this. You can go ahead and say delete repository and it will show you, and you'll have to type this name. I anyway have to delete this repository. So I'll go ahead, type it out. It is going to scare you, but I know that this doesn't work. And then you will have to just type in the password. It's like going into the sudo mode. Okay. Yes, Dimple, you can do that. So now that repository has been successfully deleted. Okay. Does it work? Do you understand this? How to delete it? And then from local system, if you will try to push, then it will start showing you an error. Because अब आपने GitHub से तो हटा दिया है, अब आप उसको push करने के चाहोगे तो आपसे वो सवाल करेगा. All right, cool. All right, guys. So I will see you guys tomorrow at the same time with more on JavaScript, and hopefully we will start off with the frameworks. What do you need, Utkarsh? It is the time is already over. क्या help चाहिए बताओ?
सर फुटर की पोजीशन सेट करने में थोड़ी प्रॉब्लम हो रही है.
तो शेयर करोगे स्क्रीन?
यस सर.
करो.
1 second. Host disabled.
Okay, 1 second. I'll just make you a co-host immediately. Yeah.
Just a second, sir.
Yeah.
सर जो ये नीचे जो फुटर है, इसको जैसे मैं इसको चेंज कर रहा हूँ फ्रेम, तो नीचे के जो आइकन्स हैं वो चेंज हो जा रहे हैं.
नीचे के आइकन्स चेंज हो जा रहे हैं ऐसे?
मतलब पोजीशन जो मैंने सेंटर कर रखी है वो ऑटोमेटिकली चेंज हो जा रही है, एक साइड में चली जा रही है.
हाँ, दैट इज बिकॉज आपका जो कंप्लीट फोल्ड इसका साइज है, इंस्टाग्राम, फेसबुक, लिंक्डइन, गिटहब और ट्विटर का जो आपने दिया है वो तो स्पेस लेगा ही लेगा ना उतना. एक बार कोड दिखाना, कहाँ पे लिखा है?
1 second.
क्योंकि अब साइज के हिसाब से वो जो चीजें हैं उसको भी एडजस्ट करना पड़ेगा, उसका भी साइज छोटा करना पड़ेगा. उसके लिए यू विल हैव टू टेक अ लुक एट मीडिया स्क्रीन, सॉरी मीडिया क्वेरीज. हैव यू वर्कड विद मीडिया क्वेरीज, उत्कर्ष?
No sir, not yet.
Yeah, so you will have to make use of media queries, and what it does is, let's say कि आपका media query में, अच्छा,
this is footer.
Yeah, okay,
And
cool.
Style.
Where is the footer style?
So hashtag bottom.
Okay, so this is relative 90 pixels. तो वो कर क्या रहा है कि ये तो फिक्स्ड स्टाइल है ना, अब वो स्क्रीन छोटा हो या बड़ा हो उसको तो ये बोला गया है कि तुम इतने ही रहना.
Okay.
ठीक है. तो इसको आप करेक्ट, आई थिंक समवन सजेस्टेड ऑटो. ये जो एट्रीब्यूट्स होते हैं, वैल्यू, हाइट को आप ऑटो कर सकते हो, विड्थ को आप ऑटो कर सकते हो, मार्जिन को आप ऑटो कर सकते हो. ठीक है.
Okay sir.
और ये जो पिक्सल के टर्म्स में आपने लिखा है उसके वजह से थोड़ी प्रॉब्लम है. या तो आप VH, करेक्ट ओम, यही बोलने वाला था मैं. यू कैन यूज व्यू VW और VH. इट्स लाइक व्यू पोर्ट विड्थ और व्यू पोर्ट हाइट. तो इंस्टेड ऑफ पिक्सल्स, अगर इफ यू स्टार्ट यूजिंग दिस स्टफ, it will automatically start understanding based on the viewport it is. तो आजकल काफी ज्यादा यूज हो रहा है VW and VH.
Okay sir. Okay.
Okay, थोड़ा सा इस पे रिसर्च कर लो. It's a good thing, and also research on media queries. So there are a lot of ways you can do it. Media queries, VH, VW and VH, viewport height and viewport width है basically इसका full form, and that way it will auto adjust.
Okay sir.
Gurpreet is saying by media tag you can make it responsive. Media query you mean, Gurpreet? Yeah, media query you can. Correct. All right, guys. I think it's 10 and it's time that we all leave, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a nice. Ravindra has a question. Go ahead.
Hello.
Before. Yeah.
I tried to like run my the code on the laptop is was running fine. Like it was able to read the files within the same folder. But when I tried to download the same folder in my Android phone, I wasn't able to like. I was seeing my login page, but it wasn't using my CSS style file and other files. Like
Why
uh,
do you want to load it on your mobile? Is my question.
because I wanted to see how it was responding on mobile phone
So
and
to
whether.
do that, so I'll tell you what the problem is. The problem is what you are trying to ask your phone is to run your HTML code in terms of mobile, but आपने वो कोड तो लिखा नहीं है, तो वो
Uh,
थोड़ा कन्वर्ट होता है, right? So what you can do is if you want to check your device height and everything, so ये देख रहे हो, आपको स्क्रीन दिख रहा है?
yes.
Okay, so here there is this option on the top, as you can see, toggle device bar.
Okay.
Okay, when you click on this, it shows you pixels कि कौन से फोन पे देखना है.
Oh.
ठीक है. So you can go ahead and say I want to check it on iPad, let's say. तो मेरा वेबसाइट iPad पे कैसा दिखेगा? ऐसा दिखेगा. If I want to check it on, let's say, अगर आपको पता है किसी का specification, so you can just go ahead and say, okay, 535 into that is going to be responsive. तो इसमें आप खुद से देख सकते हो कि हमको 535 इंटू 800 पिक्सल का अगर फोन है तो उसमें कैसा दिखेगा मेरा वेबसाइट. ओके, और यहाँ पे आपका थोड़ा मीडिया क्वेरीज विल कम इनटू पिक्चर. इफ यू ट्राई टू लोड इट ऑन योर मोबाइल, it might try to look for code which is friendly to your mobile device. What we are working with CSS is just the way it looks. We have not written, क्योंकि मोबाइल के लिए अलग लैंग्वेजेस होती हैं. लाइक बेसिकली यही सारी चीजें होती हैं, बट उसको थोड़ा सा टोन डाउन किया जाता है, एंड बेस्ड ऑन द ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम इट वर्क्स.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Fine.
Okay,
Thank you.
so you can use this functionality to check on the devices. आप अपने मोबाइल स्क्रीन का साइज और ये सब स्पेसिफिकेशंस देख के देख सकते हो कि कैसा दिखेगा मोबाइल पे.
Fine. It's good.
Okay.
Clear.
All right. Okay, guys. Anything else? All right. Good night, guys. I will see you tomorrow then. Go have dinner and then we will continue on JavaScript. So stay safe, take care, and I shall see you tomorrow. Bye bye. Ending the meeting. Tejas has a question before we leave. He has raised his hand.
Yes, sir. I have a small doubt.
Yeah.
सर वो जो व्यूपोर्ट और व्यूपोर्ट हाइट और व्यूपोर्ट विड्थ होता है तो वो कंटेनर्स के लिए यूज करना चाहिए ना, या फिर जो टेक्स्ट होता है उसके लिए?
कंटेनर्स के लिए भी यूज कर सकते हो, टेक्स्ट के लिए भी यूज कर सकते हो, और क्योंकि वो क्या करता है, वो थोड़ा रिलेटिव होता है. एंड हैविंग अ रिलेटिव एस्पेक्ट दैट मींस कि आपका जो भी व्यू पोर्ट है जिस पे भी आप देख रहे हो वो उस हिसाब से एडजस्ट करेगा. अगर अब मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि 10 VH बोला मैंने,
यस
तो इट इज लाइक द 10 टाइम्स ऑफ द व्यू पोर्ट हाइट में जो पिक्सल्स होते हैं.
सर, बट जब स्क्रीन छोटी करेंगे तब अगर मैंने वो व्यूपोर्ट हाइट के टर्म्स में टेक्स्ट को दिया है, असाइन किया है, तो फिर वो टेक्स्ट बहुत छोटा हो जाता है.
एग्जैक्टली. तो वो थोड़ा सा आपको देखना पड़ेगा कि उस समय मीडिया क्वेरी आ जाएगा कि लेट्स से कि आपका व्यू पोर्ट हाइट बहुत ही छोटा हो गया, तो उस समय
हाँ.
आपने बोला कि चलो ठीक है, मेरा टेक्स्ट का साइज 10 पिक्सल्स कर दो या 2
यस.
पिक्सल्स कर दो.
और सर अगर एक वेब पेज में दो सेक्शंस है, जैसे पोर्टफोलियो के साइड में स्किल्स और एक
हाँ
सर्टिफिकेट्स का है, तो
हाँ.
अगर मुझे कोई मीडिया क्वेरी स्किल्स वाले सेक्शन के लिए 500 पिक्सल्स पे ट्रिगर करना है और जो सर्टिफिकेट वाला है उसको 700 पे करना है, तो फिर दोनों के लिए अलग करना चाहिए या सेम होना चाहिए?
तो इसमें आपको ब्रेक डाउन करना पड़ेगा, लाइक कि 0 से 700, क्योंकि 500 से 700 के बीच में जब आप रहोगे उस
Yes.
समय वाला रेंज को आपको टारगेट करना पड़ेगा अलग अलग।
तो फिर अलग अलग लिखनी चाहिए या फिर उसको कोई जनरलाइज बनाना चाहिए हमें?
जनरलाइज तुम बना सकते हो, लेकिन उसके लिए आपको SAS का वैल्यूज आना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि आपने फंक्शन लिख दिया कि इफ दिस इन बिटवीन दिस, मतलब इट इज गोइंग टू एंड अप डूइंग द सेम थिंग जो मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि
Yes.
इट इज गोइंग टू ब्रेक इट इन 500 से 700 तक आपने एक चीज को कांस्टेंट रखा और एक चीज को छोटा कर दिया, फिर 700 पे दूसरे चीज को कांस्टेंट रखा और एक दूसरे चीज को छोटा कर दिया, राइट? सो आपको
Yeah.
मीडिया क्वेरी 0 से 500 तक तो कॉमन होगा, या 0 से 500 तक कॉमन होगा, 500 के बाद यू आर चेंजिंग वन ऑफ देम, राइट?
Yes.
So when you go from 500 to 700, just target the point that you want to change. Then if you go from 700 and above, take the 500 से 700 वाला aspect of the previous one in that, plus add the new changes that you want to do for the 700 and above.
Yeah, sure, sir. Thank you.
Okay. चलो काफी डिस्कस कर लिया हमने आज, भूख लग रही है अब मेरे को। I will see you guys tomorrow now. Bye bye. Good night everyone.